Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today, we're looking at a winning Naganadel deck. Now that might not sound terribly exciting. The Naganadel from Lost Thunder has been winning tournaments left, right, and centre pretty much since it was released. I mean, seriously, we've looked at, oh goodness, like half a dozen different variants of Naganadel decks winning tournaments. No, ladies and gentlemen, we're looking at the new Naganadel, the Naganadel GX, which has proven itself to be pretty gosh darned good. Also, right, this deck list is all over the place, and I say that with nothing but love for a crazy awesome deck list. So if we start off having a look at Naganadel GX, it's got a great ability that says once during your turn, you may discard an Ultra Beast from your hand and draw 3 cards. This gives you consistency. This basically encourages you to play a bunch of random Ultra Beasts just so you can discard them, just so that you can then take advantage of the fact that you can draw 3 cards. But we need an attack here, and we've got a doozy. 1 Psychic, 3 colourless energy, Venom Shoot. I should mention our translations here do come from the lovely David Hochmann over at limitlesstcg.com/translations. Discard 2 energy from this Pokemon. This attack does 170 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon. Cool. But firstly, that's quite a bit of energy. And secondly, we have to keep discarding the energy, so we need to get it back turn after turn after turn. How do we even deal with this? And the answer very simply is PORYGON Z. Though I should give a quick shout out to Naganadel's GX attack, which lets you add a card from your opponent's discard pile to their face down prize cards. Means they've got to take 7 prizes to win. Also means you can really take advantage of putting down a card that they want back, and that's kind of funny. So PORYGON Z then. What's great about PORYGON Z is that it's got a ridiculous ability that lets you attach as many special energy as you like from your hand to your Pokemon during your turn. You can just pepper the field, or your side of the field anyway, with special energy cards. And at this stage, I need to remind you about that recycle energy I told you about the other day. Because recycle energy really is what makes Naganadel great here. Recycle energy is, well, it's a reprint of a very old card. And essentially, it's a colourless energy, but if it's going to go to the discard pile from play, you return it to your hand. So you attach 2 of these to Naganadel, you attack to do 170 to one of your opponent's Pokemon, the 2 recycle energy get discarded, but they don't get discarded because they go back to your hand, and then next turn you can just reattach them with PORYGON Z. And it means that you can fairly reliably get this attack off every single turn, even though you're discarding 2 energy every single turn. That's how this deck works. Naganadel to do 170 to one of your opponent's Pokemon, but you got to discard 2 energy. Recycle energy to make sure those energy are discarded, but come on, they're not really discarded, they go back to your hand. And then PORYGON Z so that you can reattach them straight away. That is the essence of the deck. But here's the thing, and we saw this with a previous PORYGON Z deck that played 7 different tag team GXs. I'll try and remember to link it in the description. If you're playing PORYGON Z anyway, you might as well go nuts, play a whole bunch of different energy, and take advantage of a whole bunch of different Pokemon. So just for a second, let's stop and look at the energy line here. Obviously, we're playing 4 recycle energy. We've already mentioned that. We're then playing a couple of rainbow energy because, well, that can do anything in terms of it can pay any attack cost. And we're going to be playing a beast energy here. You're playing an Ultra Beast deck. It means you do an extra 30 damage. Why would you not play it? We see a couple of triple acceleration energy here, which is really nice. It's 3 colourless energy when attached to an evolved Pokemon. You do, however, have to discard it at the end of your hand, which kind of sucks, but you know, could be worse, ladies and gentlemen. Could be worse. And then 4 copies of Unit Energy. Now, I know there are 3 different Unit Energy. The one I'm particularly looking at is the one that is Metal, Psychic, and Lightning. Now, for Naganadel, this is great because your main attack takes lightning energy and your GX attack takes lightning, but it also informs the kind of other Pokemon we're going to be playing. So what other Pokemon are we playing here? Well, let's start off by looking at the 1/1 line of PORYGON GX. Now, I think this is going to see quite a lot of play. The ability says that if one of your Pokemon EX or GX was knocked out during your opponent's last turn, search for any 2 cards and put them into your hand. Now, bearing in mind our main attacker is a Pokemon GX, that's pretty good. But you've also got an attack for 3 colourless energy, or indeed 1 triple acceleration energy, which does 10 damage plus 20 more for each Pokemon in your discard pile, up to a maximum of 9. So if you've got 9 Pokemon in your discard pile, you're doing 190 damage for what is essentially a single energy attachment. That's pretty good. We've then got a couple Magcargo here. Magcargo puts any card from your deck on top of your deck. It's extra consistency, it's pretty good. Bearing in mind, Naganadel's ability lets you draw 3 cards, so you can use Magcargo to put it on top of your deck, and then you can immediately draw it with Naganadel. Obviously, we're playing 1 Ditto Prism Star, because we've got a bunch of different stage 1s, you'd be silly not to. We got 1 Tapu Lele just to search out our supporter cards here. And then, of course, we're going to need a couple of Ultra Beasts. So there are 3 in this deck we're looking at using. And we got 1 Psychic, 1 Metal, 1 Lightning, because remember the unit energy we're playing. So we've got 1 copy of the Nihilego from Lost Thunder. This is the rather phenomenal one where if your opponent's got exactly 2 prizes remaining, you get to copy any attack on any of their Pokemon, whether active or not. Alright, it's only good when your opponent's got 2 prizes remaining, but it's amazing if your opponent's got 2 prizes remaining. And what's superb in this deck is, if you're not going to play it, discard it and draw 3 cards. It's that gosh darn good. We've got 1 copy of the Celesteela from Celestial Storm, 1 Metal Energy, 4 colourless 160, but if both players have exactly 6 prize cards remaining between them, it's 160 for 1 Metal Energy. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is substantially different. And okay, it's got to be a Metal Energy, but given you're playing 4 Unit Energy, 2 Rainbow Energy, 1 Beast Energy, you shouldn't really care. Plus, you're probably going to play this on the turn where you go down to 6 prizes remaining combined, which means you can search it out quite nicely using PORYGON GX. That's quite the handy bonus. And then we've got 1 Xurkitree GX. We like the fact that it essentially has immunity from Pokemon with special energy attached. That's pretty sweet. And we like the fact that you can do 100 damage and discard the top card of your opponent's deck. Usually, I'd be saying this is too gosh darned expensive, but remember that Porygon Z can attach as many energy as you like during your turn. And then 1 Lightning Energy, take a card from your opponent's hand and put it down as an extra prize card. It's basically the same as Naganadel's GX attack, except you're taking a card from their hand, which I generally like better, because you can take like their only supporter and potentially give them a couple turns of drawing nothing. Now, with all of those Pokemon and all of that energy, and the fact that Naganadel is its own draw power, we're not expecting a huge amount of supporter cards and all of that here, and frankly, we don't get them. In terms of items, it's extremely straightforward. We've got 4 copies of Ultra Ball, because it can search out any of our Pokemon. We've got 2 copies of Nest Ball, because it can search out our basics. And then we've got 2 copies of Rescue Stretcher, because Rescue Stretcher's pretty important when you're playing a bunch of one-off Pokemon. We've then got 3 copies of Rare Candy, because you're playing a Stage 2, you're going to need to get your Stage 2 out, hence the Rare Candy. The reason we can get away with playing 3 rather than 4 is that Naganadel's ability gives us draw power, which means we're more likely to draw into it. And then we got 3 copies of Ultra Space, because we need to play a stadium, and this searches out your Ultra Beasts. Plus, remember Naganadel's ability, this means you can guarantee you've got an Ultra Beast so that you can discard it, so that you can draw free cards. It also means if you're playing a rescue stretcher, rather than having to pick one up and discard it to draw free, you can shuffle 3 into your deck and then use Ultra Space to immediately grab one, to discard, and then draw 3 cards. Now, in terms of supporter cards here, we've got 3 copies of Guzma, because it's both a switching card and it drags a Pokemon off the bench. That's pretty important, most decks play it. And then there's just a bunch of one-off supporters, just in case you need that particular one. We got 1 Ace Roller, which will heal your Pokemon, pick them up if they're damaged. We've got 1 Judge, which will put your opponent and yourself down to a 4-card hand. Good for a little bit of disruption, or if you think your opponent's got a really good hand. 1 copy of Professor Round's Lecture, really good for getting out those small basics in the early game. 1 copy of Lily that lets you draw until you've got 6 cards in hand, but on the first turn of the game, 8, which could be useful. And then 2 copies of Cynthia. I know I said a bunch of one-offs, but come on, it's Cynthia, because it's still the best draw card we've got. This is a deck that just wasn't on my radar, but it's the second Porygon Z deck we've seen, so I think we need to start taking that boy seriously now. And this Naganadel with a decent attack and built-in draw engine, and then the option to play all these other Pokemon because of Porygon Z, this is a deck that really excites me. I talk about a lot of decks on this channel, and most of them I look at, I think they look good. But not all of them really excite me. Well, this, ladies and gentlemen, this really excites me. I'm very excited about this deck. But I'd like to know how excited you are, so please do let me know in the comments section. Go nuts. But please do remember the rule, ladies and gentlemen. Be nice, would you? And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, and follow me on Twitter at @TheWossy. And then Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And please do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WossyPlays, where we talk about other games that don't have Pokemon in. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.